To our African American citizens, I am sorry that your federal government orchestrated a study so clearly racist.
In 1932, as America is in maybe the worst part of the Great Depression, where unemployment rates were as high as 20%, the U.S. Public Health Service, along with the Tuskegee Institute, began a study in Tuskegee, Alabama. Alabama at this time being ranked the 7th poorest state, with 100% of all counties in Alabama having a poverty rate of 20% or more. Many of these men were persuaded to participate by promises of free transportation to and from the hospital, free lunch, and free medical treatment for ailments other than syphilis, and also a free burial. This study, now referred to as the Syphilis Study of Tuskegee, initially involved 600 black men, 201 a control group, and the other 399 positive with syphilis.
In spite of the fact that a cure for syphilis has been known for 30 years, syphilis today is one of the most prevalent of serious diseases, a leading cause of sickness and death. Syphilis strikes infants, kills thousands. When it does not kill, it may cause blindness, deafness, insanity, or deformity. In adults, syphilis is a leading cause of heart disease. It strikes men and women in the prime of life, makes many helpless invalids. Its victims help fill the ever-expanding institutions for the insane. When syphilis is found, treatment must begin at once. Early treatment is the patient's great hope of recovery. Cases discovered in the early stages can usually be made non-infectious and completely cured. Even in neglected cases, the disease can often be arrested and suffering relieved. Syphilis can be diagnosed. It can be made non-infectious. It can be cured. Only one more thing is needed to defeat the germs of syphilis: knowledge of the facts by every man and woman. With widespread knowledge and with these weapons, America can conquer syphilis in one generation.
None of these men were told any of this. Instead, researchers told the men they were being treated for bad blood, a local term used to describe a broad array of medical problems, which included syphilis, but also included other things like anemia and fatigue. By the mid-1940s, penicillin had become the treatment of choice for syphilis, but instead of penicillin, half the men were given an arsenic mercury treatment and the other half received nothing. By 1969, the PHS Center of Disease Control in Atlanta, which was in charge of the Tuskegee study, reviewed records of 276 patients who participated in the experiment. It was found that 7 men had died from the direct result of syphilis. Another 154 died of heart failure. But at the time, CDC officials couldn't say how many of the deaths were caused by syphilis or from complications of syphilis. In 1972, the Associated Press published a story about the study, and as a result, the Assistant Secretary of the Health and Scientific Affairs appointed an advisory panel to review the study. The advisory panel concluded that the study was ethically unjustified. That is, the results were disproportionately meager compared with known risks to human subjects involved. In October the same year, the panel advised stopping the study. A month later, the Assistant Secretary for Health and Scientific Affairs announced its end. In 1973, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of the study participants and their families, resulting in a $10 million out-of-court settlement. On May 16, 1997, President Bill Clinton issued a formal presidential apology for the study.
I would like to recognize the other survivors who are here today and their families. The 8 men who are survivors of the syphilis study at Tuskegee are a living link to a time not so very long ago that many Americans would prefer not to remember, but we dare not forget. It was a time when our nation failed to live up to its ideals, when our nation broke the trust with our people that is the very foundation of our democracy. It is not only in remembering that shameful past that we can make amends and repair our nation, but it is in remembering that past that we can build a better present and a better future. And without remembering it, we cannot make amends and we cannot go forward. So today, America does remember the hundreds of men used in research without their knowledge and consent. We remember them and their family members. Men who were poor and African American, without resources and with few alternatives. They believed they had found hope when they were offered free medical care by the United States Public Health Service. They were betrayed. Medical people are supposed to help when we need care, but even once a cure was discovered, they were denied help and they were lied to by their government. Our government is supposed to protect the rights of its citizens. Their rights were trampled upon. 40 years, hundreds of men betrayed, along with their wives and children, along with the community in Macon County, Alabama, the city of Tuskegee, the fine university there, and the larger African American community. The United States government did something that was wrong, deeply, profoundly, morally wrong. It was an outrage to our commitment to integrity and equality for all our citizens. To the survivors, to the wives and family members, the children and the grandchildren, I say what you know. No power on earth can give you back the lives lost, the pain suffered, the years of internal torment and anguish. What was done cannot be undone, but we can end the silence. We can stop turning our heads away. We can look at you in the eye and finally say, on behalf of the American people, what the United States government did was shameful, and I am sorry. The American people are sorry for the loss, for the years of hurt. You did nothing wrong, but you were grievously wronged. I apologize, and I am sorry that this apology has been so long in coming. To Macon County, to Tuskegee, to the doctors who have been wrongly associated with the events there, you have our apology as well. To our African American citizens, I am sorry that your federal government orchestrated a study so clearly racist. That can never be allowed to happen again. It is against everything our country stands for, and what we must stand against is what it was. So let us resolve to hold forever in our hearts and minds the memory of a time not long ago in Macon County, Alabama, so that we can always see how adrift we can become when the rights of any citizens are neglected, ignored, and betrayed. And let us resolve here and now to move forward together. The legacy of the study at Tuskegee has reached far and deep in ways that hurt our progress and divide our nation. We cannot be one America when a whole segment of our nation has no trust in America. An apology is the first step, and we take it with a commitment to rebuild that broken trust. We face a challenge in our time. Science and technology are rapidly changing our lives with the promise of making us much healthier, much more productive, and more prosperous. But with these changes, we must work harder to see that as we advance, we don't leave behind our conscience. No ground is gained, and indeed much is lost if we lose our moral bearings in the name of progress. The people who ran the study at Tuskegee diminished the stature of man by abandoning the most basic ethical precepts. They forgot their pledge to heal and repair. They had the power to heal the survivors and all the others, and they did not. Today, all we can do is apologize, but you have the power. For only you, Mr. Shaw, the others who are here, family who are with us, Tuskegee, only you have the power to forgive. Your presence here shows us that you have chosen a better path than your government did so long ago. You have not withheld the power to forgive. I hope today and tomorrow every American will remember your lesson and live by it. Thank you, and God bless you.